Good morning everyone. I'm going to need your help today to resolve some problems I've accumulated. Took Bugsy out for a fairly decent drive yesterday and I had to stop 4 times to check and adjust things. So I'm going to need your help to resolve some of that. And also today we'll be finding out what's in Dave's box. Oh, it's huge! So if you want to see what's in that big box, you need to keep watching to the end. Okay, on with today's little problems. I have a list, it's that bad. Okay, so I took Bugsy for a fairly long drive along bumpy roads, and I even went on the highway, which I don't really like doing. So the first problem I had, there was a rattle getting worse and worse and worse. So I pulled over at the first exit off the highway into a parking spot, and I discovered it was the trunk lid handle catch thing. So I'm going to have to fix that. That was always a sort of semi-permanent job that I did, you know, using the garage door handle thing, but it's not strong enough and it keeps loosening off and rattling. So that was the first thing. Then when I went to leave that little car park, it almost didn't start, right? I have a feeling that my starter motor is about to die, but I did buy another starter motor from Larry, and I'll need to fit that, but that's not an easy job. Because of the way I've installed all this, I need to actually remove my headers, which means disconnecting half the exhaust to get them off, because they're just in the way. So that's something I'll need to try. So then I went back on the highway, and Bugsy would not shift into third gear. So I was trying to do highway speeds in second gear. That was fairly nerve-wracking because Ontario drivers are not very patient. So you kind of have to keep up with the flow, and they all drive fast. So I managed to get off at the next exit, and I played about with the kickdown cable. So it's got something to do with that because it's going into third again. And finally, my suspension is brutal. It's just too stiff. Now, I know a lot of it is just noise from metal panels knocking about, but it's just really harsh. So I need to discuss what my options are. I think the spring rates on the Crown Vic in 2003, I think the springs were actually recalled. You probably noticed that it's sitting quite low at the front. So I might try just new springs in the front, and I'd still need to do something with the rear suspension. It's all just very stiff. The slightest bumps and it's banging away, you know. It shouldn't be set up for a race car. I'm not going on a track with this thing. So that's where we're at. So what we start with. I think I'm going to start with the starter motor, because if the car doesn't start, I can't go anywhere and I can't test anything else. So I think that's key to get things rolling. Now, as I say, I got this from Larry, and you know, he assured me it worked, but I'm not going to go through all this hassle of removing exhausts and everything associated with that, possibly even having to buy new header gaskets, until I know this works. So as I say, no offense Larry, I'm going to bench test this first. The only battery I've got really accessible is in Bugsy, so I'll set up a little bench thing over there and we'll give it a go. After my coffee. So it's fairly straightforward to do a little bench test on a starter motor. You need a positive feed, a negative or a ground, and you need a fairly decent steel screwdriver to connect the, what would you call that, exciter. I'll give you a close-up, but the first thing I realised was to connect your big jumper cable to the main positive going in, It's a wee bit close to the body of the starter, so I've made I found this bracket that's got a nice big hole in it. Give it a bit of grind down, just to extend it away. I'll give you a closer look. As I was saying, if I was to just connect the positive here, it's awfully close to the rest of it. If it just happened to drop down there and ground out, I'll probably fry my battery and create fire and death. So, what I've done here, I've just found I've no idea. I think that came off the frame of Bugsy at some point. Anyway, you can go on there. And that just takes this away from the body of the starter. So he can clip on there and fall down and directly hit that. So I need to tighten that up. Back in a sec. Take two. So as you can see, that's hitting off the positive down there, the negative. So that would be bad. So make sure that's nice and tight. Now we can clip on the positive coming from the battery. And then I can actually just attach the earth to the body of the starter. It doesn't need to go away up here, because the starter in these takes the ground from the body of the car anyway, or from the transmission engine block, which is also grounded to the chassis. So that's what I'm doing. So this one goes to there, or there, wherever it's a nice clean connection. And I've still to connect it to the battery. I always leave that to last. And we are going to be looking for movement in here. Okay, the battery's all hooked up. Positive's hooked up to the big one. Negative's hooked up to the body. So all I should really have to do is connect the positive to that little one. This should come out and start spinning. It's coming out, but it's not spinning. That's not supposed to happen. And that's why you don't dismantle half your car until you check things work first, okay? So Larry, I'm sure it was working when you had it, and it was probably sitting on the shelf for a while and it's seized up, so no hard feelings, but I'll be seeing you soon. Okay, what else can we not fix today? Suspension, can't really fix that yet. And I'm going to wait for your advice on that. If there's an alternative to just getting stock Crown Vic front suspension springs, or if there's something a bit higher and a bit softer, because it is sitting low, so I'd like it a bit higher, but also a bit softer. So I'll wait for your response on that one. The third gear thing. Okay, here's the deal. My transmission cooler, if you remember to previous videos, is underneath the passenger seat under the floor. So it's not really getting a lot of airflow. Is it possible that it's just overheating and it's not getting into third because of that? Or is it something to do with the kickdown cable? If I remove the kickdown cable completely, you know, disconnect the wire from the carburetor, should it just work normal but without kickdown? You know, should it go into 1, 2, 3 and it would only go into second as when I slow down? Or do I absolutely require the kickdown cable for it to work properly? I don't actually want to drive it again until I get a response, so leave a comment please. So what I can maybe have a look at today will be the trunk catch, because that rattle's driving me insane. So let's have a wee look. I'll show you what the problem is and we'll take it from there. So this is what I currently have as my trunk latch, okay? You might recognise this from garage doors. Regular garage door handle is attached to the inside of the garage door mechanism. It just locks it in place. But as you can see, there's not a lot of strength in that. And what was happening was this rubber glove, sleeve, whatever, that was sliding off, and then it was just going metal to metal on that side. not too bad at the moment, but it shouldn't really be moving like that. So I need to figure out what I'm going to replace this with, because I don't mind this, and it's fairly, this whole mechanism is fairly solid. It's just this bottom bit. Do I just recreate that with thicker steel for now, because I cannot get the proper trunk latch for this, because, you know, no swap meets yet, and it's just really hard to find that particular part online. So let me do some imagination, and we'll see what we can come up with. I've decided my best option for now is to just recreate this section. Now it doesn't need this section at the end, I just didn't cut it off. So I just need from there up and along, and I'm just going to make it out of this steel. I don't think it's quite 1/4 inch, but I want it strong enough that it's not going to flex. So cut a strip of that, drill a hole for that, bend it into shape. Oh, would this count as a bracket? Close enough. Done. So I just need to slide this rubber sleeve over the new one, and it should be a lot tighter because it's a lot fatter, right? And then we will be ready to reinstall. Oh yeah, that's nice and tight. Oh, I'm going to struggle with this, but once it's on, it's not coming off. So let me struggle with this, and I'll see you over at the trunk. So I don't really have an easy way to adjust this if it doesn't, you know, slot in. It's supposed to go in there. The only way I can really do it is to bend this up or down a little bit. I could maybe add washers to bring this in or out. Apart from that, let's just hope and pray I've got it right first time. Washer on first, bracket, latch, whatever you want to call it, another washer, and one of these captive grabby washer things. Tap that on with a hammer and a socket. Well, that's not going to work, is it? I've got it on the wrong place. It should be pointing that way in the open position. Ugh. I need to sacrifice another one of these washers. Take two. Lock position, open position. Wish me luck. Oh, oh yes. I think I've got a slight bit of touching going on over that side, but that's, oh actually it's too stiff. Okay, never opening the trunk again. Of course I locked my hammer in there. Thankfully I've got an endless supply of hammers. Wow. Oh my goodness. It's actually that rubber sleeve. How you doing?
Hey, how are you doing?
So that wraps up this video. Okay, I think what I need to do, the bar that the lever connects to or hooks into, I just need to take that off and just round it a little bit. It's pretty sharp and it's catching on that rubber sleeve. Okay, we'll try that again. I may as well show you what I'm talking about. So this section here, that goes into this slot here, and this bit here is just too sharp. So I'm going to take this bar off, make it rounded there, rounded on the other side, and we should be good. I'm not going to lie, that was a bit of a nightmare. I had to take this off and reshape it quite a lot. And every time I had to test it, I had to sacrifice one of those little captive washer things. So how does it work? Basically, you need to push the, I shouldn't really be telling you this, but you need to push the trunk down and it's locked in place. Nice and tight. But to get it unlocked, because I had to curve that bracket at the bottom, not bracket, lever, I'm obsessed with brackets. I had to curve that so that the more you turn it, the closer it gets. So when you turn it back, it seems to lock, but that's okay, there is a special knack. You just have to push it down harder. But that's okay, I don't want it accidentally falling off. Done. Right, what's in that big box? So, anyone guessed yet? This is part one of a three-part gift from essentially a four-part gift. Anyway. What credit? My wife. She has brought me not one, but two rolls of sound deadening. there's more interior stuff to come from my lovely wife. So it's, I think we're getting a bit of rain towards the end of the week, towards the weekend, at the weekend, whatever. So I guess that'll be a good time to get some interior sound deadening done. But you'll have to tune in to the next one and see what else she's got for me for the interior. Exciting stuff. Well, that's me for today. Please leave a comment on with your suggestions and what might be wrong with the transmission. Not going into third. I do have a transmission cooler on my new radiator that I've not plumbed in yet, so if you think it's an overheating issue, great, I'll be taking care of that very soon. If you think it's a kickdown cable related issue, let me know. Also, suspension, what would you do? I don't have a lot of options. It's a stock 2003 Crown Victoria front cross member independent front suspension with stock springs, but if they're from 2003, they might be a bit tired. Rear suspension, I kind of know what I'm doing there. I've done enough videos about the rear suspension, so I'm not going to bore you with that. If you prefer, we do have a Facebook group, Scott Rods on Facebook. You're welcome to join that if you'd rather leave your comments there and maybe leave a picture or two of whatever. Okay, that's me for today. Hopefully Bugsy will start again and I can get back in the garage. Hopefully. Right, take care everyone. See you in the next one. And remember, Friday voting begins for the Boss International car show. I'll remind you again, don't worry. Bye.